special Facebook, not Facebook, but a live that I'm doing today, this evening, and this is relayed on YouTube as well as Facebook. So before I start with talking, I'm going to take up a lot of questions that have come in. I'll be able to take up just a few questions, but nevertheless, before I start sharing anything, what I would like you to do is I want you to understand why things go wrong in a marriage. Now, that's a fundamental, frame that we got to have if you want to turn our marriage around. And most people have this thought that marriages go wrong because of the other person. That's the most people have this thought about marriages go wrong because of the other person. And the other person thinks that my marriage is going wrong because of you, because of the other person. So we just keep, playing this blame game. At the end, everybody loses. Everybody loses. So the first thing I would like us to understand that marriages don't go wrong because of any external factors or internal factors. In other words, marriages don't go wrong because of the in-laws. That's generally gentlemen think that my in-laws are interfering with my marriage and that's why things are bad. Marriages don't go wrong because of the affair. Marriages don't go wrong because of money. Marriages don't go wrong because you have married the wrong person and you're not compatible with that person. In fact, the data that we have for the divorce rates, especially for US, we don't have it for India, but the thing would be very similar. The data that we have is for the first marriage, the divorce rate is 50%. And if you had married somebody wrong person, the second marriage should be any better. But unfortunately, it's not. The divorce rate for the second marriage is 64%, sorry, 67%. The third marriage is 74%. So what really happens in a marriage that it goes wrong? It's very simple for us to understand once we get this concept. Now, all of us are animals. All right, we call ourselves as social animals. We are animals. Like if you look at a dog that you have in your house, at its simplest form, 2/3 of what you have in your head, even the dog has it. All right. Now, as animals, we are very territorial. So look at a dog. Look at any animal. So what happens is this: when a new animal comes into your territory, there's a power struggle. I'm explaining it at a very generic level, very simple level. So as soon as there is an animal comes into the territory of the other, there's a power struggle. Now the exact thing happens in a marriage. Now marriage is one of the most unique relationships because among human beings, the power struggle is resolved by roles. With all the other animals, power struggle is resolved by might. So the strongest tiger is the alpha male, or the among the monkeys, the strongest the strongest monkey that we have is the alpha male. But with human beings, it's very different. We define our power struggle is a lot of the time resolved by the roles that we play. So son is more powerful than the father. The father is more powerful than the son. You have the employer is more powerful than the employee. The teacher is more powerful in control than the employer is more in control than from the employee. So with relationships, for the first time, with marriage, for the first time in the 21st century, the relationships are equal. Until the 21st century, until women started going to work, it was again power struggle was resolved because of this. The man was the bread earner of the family, so he was the boss. But for the first time, it is equal. It's not that in the past they didn't have power struggle; they did have, but it ended up with no love. But it just that the woman could not leave. So what I'm trying to say is, if things are not going right in your marriage, it's not because of any of the factors that everybody talks about. It is just because you are stuck in a power struggle. And in a power struggle, if you notice, just check out your marriage. In a power struggle, you think about your survival. That's it. What I need. That's it. You don't think about the other person. Look at any animal. It's survival. And if you look at your marriage, that's what is happening. Your wife is saying, you're not doing this for me. You're not giving me this. You're not thinking about me. You're not talking to my parents. You always shout at me. You're always busy at work. What is she trying to say is, you're not giving me what I need. That's how people deal with a power struggle. And you have a set of complaints and you're saying the same or something similar. And most people try to resolve this power struggle by problem solving. That is, they go to a counselor as a couple, and over there, what are they trying to do? They're trying to tell the counselor that he is not giving me what I need. And the other person says the same. And the power struggle is never ever resolved. So, how do you resolve a power struggle? How do you go to the next stage? The next stage is called mature love or deep friendship. And think about a friendship that you have. In a friendship, a deep friendship, where people give their lives for the other person. In that kind of a relationship, it's all about giving. It's about thinking about the other person. It's about taking care of the other person. And when it comes to marriage, that's not very easy, because our brain follows a rule called the law of reciprocation. It basically means, if you give me, now the Diwali is coming up, and if you give me sweets for Diwali, I'm wired to give you sweets for Christmas. I'm wired. But if you throw if you are my neighbor and if you throw some garbage into my place, now I'm wired to reciprocate that with something as bad as what you have done. So what happens when we get into a power struggle stage is, we feel that the other person is not taking care of us. And that makes it extremely difficult to love that person. In the romance stage, it wasn't. Romance stage was very easy. You could love that person because that person also was also loving. Am I making sense to you? Those of you attending it on Zoom or Facebook Live or on YouTube, just write in the comments making sense. Just write making sense. And if you are attending the session on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe, because every week I do this session on a Thursday at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to answer questions. So if you have a question, just leave it in the comments. I'm going to answer it probably the next week. And share some likes, give me some likes, anything that helps you. So this is the first thing I would like every one of us to understand, that if I want to turn my marriage around, I got to be really loving, which is not easy. And that's the only way to turn a marriage around. Thanks, Raja, for being here. It's really good to have you here. So I got loads of questions and I'm going to answer each of them. All right. Let me see. All right. Devak is saying applied, like I'm going to read the status of their marriage and then I'm going to check out their question. I'm going to answer their question. Devak is saying we have applied for divorce, but I want us to get back. So his question is, how can we get back? The only way to get back is to get out of the power struggle stage. If you look at divorce, what is divorce is about? Just check it out. Isn't it a fight? Isn't it a battle? Isn't it a war? Where there is one person is not trusting the other person is not trusting you. Then you have the lawyers who tell you, this could happen, that could happen. And you're very cautious, correct? Now that is the power struggle stage that I'm talking about. The only way you can get out of that power struggle stage is to become a person that your wife feels like. You become a person like the way you were at the beginning of your marriage. That's the only way. Because there are two things that bring out the worst in your wife. So if you're going through a divorce right now, all right, you're seeing the worst part of your wife, the worst version of your wife, and you try to fix that worst version. And even people, when they go to a counselor, and it's mandated by the this thing, the court, when people go to a counselor, what are they trying to do is they're trying to prove to the other person that the other person is wrong. So that way you cannot bring back love. So the only way you can go about is trying to, there are two things I said, I'm sorry, I missed out. So there are two things which bring out the worst in the other person. One is stress, other one is feeling unloved. So if you're going through a divorce and if she has applied for a divorce, it means that generally women try to fix their marriage when they're inside it. They try. And of course, nobody has taught us anything about relationship science. So we try to fix it in all the wrong ways. And when the marriage can't be fixed, the woman leaves the man. And once she leaves, she said to herself, this is the end. I don't want to come back. I've tried enough. It's never going to change. I'm not going to come back. And that's how generally people reach there. Now, the only way you can turn things around is to bring out that best version of yourself that you were at the beginning of your marriage, regardless of how she responds to you. Now, that's not easy at all, but it is possible. And I see it again and again in our hub. We have something called Awesome Husbands Hub. And once gentlemen learn everything, they get into a group coaching program. And I see men doing that. Their wife is as rude as possible because she's feeling unloved. And she thinks that nothing can change in you. And she doesn't want it to change also because she has made up her mind. And these men are being extremely loving, listening to her, understanding her, reflecting, what they have heard. And that's where the shift is happening. So that is the only way, Devak, that your wife will change. Sometimes it is a slow process, sometimes it's a fast process. All right. Varun is saying, is applied for divorce, but I want us to get back. His question is, sir, can I call you directly? If you call me directly, I'll not be able to help you. Because many times people think that marriage is like there is a part in a vehicle which has gone wrong. And if I go to the garage and meet the mechanic, he'll fix that for me. Marriage is not like that. Many times people think that way. So if I talk to my friend who is married for 20 years or talk to my uncle who is married for 30 years, he'll be able to fix it. Or one more way people generally do is, let's have a meeting. Let's have a meeting. So at the meeting, people come, the girl's family comes, the boy's family comes, they sit down. And what comes out at that? Venom. Nothing else. Probably you have experienced that. If you have ever had a meeting, only venom comes out. Because you're stuck at power struggle stage, and she is going to prove that she's right in not coming back. And you're going to prove that no, she should come back because you have changed. Nothing comes out. So fixing a marriage is not like fixing a machine. You just check out which part is wrong and you fix it. Fixing a marriage is like changing the direction of a huge vehicle which is going in the opposite direction downhill. Just imagine this. A big vehicle, a huge big truck. It is going in a reverse direction. Not only it's going in a reverse direction, but it is going downhill. And the only way you can go about is pressing the brakes. Can you press like there is a saying in Hindi, husband and wife are like ek gaadi ke do pahiye. So can you press the brakes on your wife's wheel? No. The only person you can stop is yourself. Because if you see in a vehicle, wheels can only move in one direction. So if you see your vehicle going downwards, you press your brakes on your wheel, and then you make your wheel move towards in the right direction. So can you call me directly? I won't be able to help you because your marriage is not like fixing a machine. I wish it was, so that I can give you a very powerful advice and you can use that advice and you can turn it around. Then how can I help you? The way I can help you is to learn relationship science. The way I can help you is to understand her personality type. The way I can help you is to help you to understand conflicts, the science behind conflicts. The way I can help you is to help you, teach you the communication skills in marriage. And then you are going to implement it day in and day out, day in and day out, over a period of 3 months. So if that is something excites you, then I invite you for a session on Saturday. Saturday at 9 o'clock, I do a very special session called Three-Step Strategy to Bring Back Love. And at the end of it, that's the only time I offer this program. People can get into our hub on Saturday at 9 o'clock. So if that's something that excites you, then I would like you to be there. And that's the way I can help you. And there are a lot of men who are working on their marriage using this system. Next question is by Kishan. He's saying, we are together, but there is no love. That's the status he is in. She wants to get separated. Okay. Let me just see this question. Yeah. He's saying she wants to get separated, which I don't want. I asked her many times how I should be to make her feel better towards me. Great. She said that she is not having any positive feelings towards me and she will not get also. What should I do? First of all, Kishan, I want to appreciate you for a couple of things. The first thing is you asking her, all right, what will turn things around. The second thing is I want to appreciate you for being asking this question at this moment, because if you're together, the shift in your marriage is very quick compared to somebody who is separated. They have to put in a little more extra effort. But the process of getting their wife back makes you an amazing man. You'll be surprised at the growth you will have, because that's how the program is designed. All right. So now there are a couple of things I want you to understand. When she said that she is not having any positive feelings towards me and she will not get also. All right. Now, the way you are explaining to me, you have written, it sounds like one morning you got up, you went to her, everything was calm and cool, and you went to her and you said, darling, there is, I want to, I want to change myself. Could you please help me? What should I do? Give me some suggestions. I don't think you did this way. Generally, we don't. Generally, we don't ask our spouse, how do we need to change? Generally what happens, probably that's what happened, is you were in a huge fight, a huge argument, and you are saying something, she was saying something, you are saying something, she was saying something, you are saying something, she was saying something, and then finally you said, now tell me, what should I do? Just tell me. I don't know. I just can't think of anything else. I've tried everything. Just tell me now. How can I be a better person? And as a response to that, she said what she said. Generally, that's the case. So what do? You don't ask her. You don't ask her. Instead, create experiences. Remember one thing, understand one thing. Unless we are saints, we don't have much control over our emotions. When somebody gives me a gift, all right, a thoughtful gift by a good friend of mine, and things are not going great between us right now, but as soon as I get that gift, I'm going to feel positive. I feel, wow, appreciated. But once I feel that, what I'm going to do after that is my choice. But I can't choose those emotions. They're really powerful. So what do is create positive experiences. Why she is saying what she is saying in most cases, almost all cases, is because the experience of being in this marriage is not great at this moment. It's not great at this moment. And when you turn those experiences, and no matter whatever has happened in your marriage, no matter whatever has happened, the marriage, the brain remembers things something like this. All right. Brain remembers it in the form of stacking. All right. So I had a positive experience. The topmost experience is positive. So I'm going to feel affection towards you. The next experience is for positive. I'm going to feel affection towards you. The next experience is positive. I'm going to feel affection towards you. The next experience is negative. That's the topmost experience I have. I am not going to feel affection towards you. And after that, it depends on the next experience that's going to be stacked upon this experience. If it is negative again, I'm going to feel more angry. If it is negative again, I'm going to feel more angry. Are you getting me? Now, what happens is when you start working on your marriage, when you become that amazing person, when you learn things that are based in relationship science, what happens is you start stacking positive experiences. And that way, at the end, probably after a year, probably 3 months or 4 months, she will remember what you did 5 years ago, but she will not feel anything about it. It's like I'm bitten by a dog 3 times. Do I remember those experiences? Of course, I remember them. But am I still friendly with dogs? Yes. Because my experiences after being bitten by a dog, the rest of the experiences were very positive. So the effect of that experience of being bitten is not there. Memory is there. So start working on yourself. Stop asking her what to do. If that was helpful, just write in the comments helpful. If you got one insight from that, what I shared just now, write that insight in the comments. Write that insight in the comments. What's that one insight that you got? Because many a times you mightn't have asked this question. It is somebody else asked it. But as you're listening to the answer, you said, that's what I need to do. Just write that insight in the comments. Let's see. Okay, Ansari, I'm not going to answer your question at this moment. The reason is, this question it's quite a long one. And at the same time, it's a question about how do I fix it? You can't fix it. You got to change the direction. And I'm really glad that you are into the inner circle and you're working on your marriage. Right now, you're at level 2. So just keep at it, finish it. Let's have a one-to-one after you finish your level 2, 6 days. And you are in a very good space. So for the time being, can I ask you to do one thing? Put this question, put your thoughts, put your doubts, write it like whatever you have written it here, write it on a piece of paper, fold it, and put it in an envelope and keep it aside. And probably 4 months, 5 months down the line, you'll when you take out that envelope and you look at that question, you will see that I've answered your question without answering it. And that's the answer for those of you who are going through the program at this moment. And probably you are at level 1, probably you are at level 2. All the questions that comes to your mind, put them aside. This is not the time to ask questions. This is the time to learn. And automatically, all the problems that you're talking about will be resolved. And you'll be surprised. You will be surprised. And that is, I guess, the biggest mistake many a times we make. The mistake we make is we start fixing the problems in our marriage. And unfortunately, by fixing the problems, we cannot get love back. It's like the guy whose wife is having an affair. Often happens, often happens. And he says to himself, if I catch my wife red-handed, that's it, problem solved. What do you think happens if he catches his wife red-handed? Is she going to change and say, sorry, sorry, sorry? Tomorrow onwards, I'm not going to like that guy. I'm going to love you more than my life. Or she's that their relationship will not be fixed. The first option or the second option. Will she madly fall in love with the man who caught her red-handed, a husband who caught her red-handed, or nothing will change? First or second? Write in the comments. What do you think? Amarnath, you're on the, okay, 1 second. So just give me a moment. Right, right. So it is, things are not going to change. Many times people think that if I tell my wife, if I catch her red-handed, things will become, things will be fixed. It doesn't. It doesn't. The way things will be fixed is when you become that amazing person, so loving and so caring that she feels guilty for going out with that man. She feels guilty. Now that's the way things change, not by catching her red-handed. And that's the mistake many of us make in a relationship. We find the mistake in the other person, we try to fix it. And instead of that person loving us, that person hates us more. The next question is from Mushtaq. Forgive me for mispronouncing your name if I have mispronounced it. He's saying, we are together, but there is no love. And he's saying, I'm in depression due to bad relationship with my wife. Okay, I'm in depression due to bad relationship with my wife. What should I do? A quick answer is, right now, focus on yourself. See, one of the things that happens to us when we are going through a stress in our relationships is we go through huge amount of sadness. All right. And because we are sad, it doesn't change anything. So a couple of things I can suggest. And the other thing I suggest is you attend the Saturday masterclass and see for yourself if I can help you. Because this needs long-term help, but not medication or counseling. All right. It is just a way of being understanding yourself and picking yourself up. So let me explain. I'm in depression due to bad relationship with my wife. All right, let me explain this. See, one of the things that happens to us, let's say we are different personality types, right? My personality is not like yours and somebody else's, so we have different personality types, and all of us have the positive and the not so positive. So my positive could be, I'm a great leader. On the other side, I'm a tyrant. I'm a dictator. So this is my positive side. This is my negative side. So your positive side could be, you're an amazing creative person. Could be, I'm saying, because I don't know your personality type. I'm just guessing. Okay, from what you have said. And the other side is when you are low, just like that leader and a tyrant, the other side is feeling depressed. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do is what brings us the best and the worst in us. It's basically stress and feeling unloved. All right, that brings out the worst in us. So the first thing you got to do is work on yourself and handling the stress. So a couple of things offhand I can tell you about is go for exercise, do some exercise, get back to some creative stuff you used to do. And the third thing is we have men on the hub right now who used to say that I'm going through depression, and now they're talking about I'm feeling much better about myself, because there are certain processes you'll be going through, some kind of meditation you'll be going through based on your personality type, that really helps you to come out of this depression and you will be really focused. Sandeep, the next question. We're together, but there is no love. And his statement is, my wife hates having sex. Okay. Now, this is one of the biggest question that's being asked by men. Like, my wife doesn't like to have sex. There's no physical intimacy between us. And why we ask this question and why our wives don't want to have sex with us is generally because our understanding of sex. All right, that's one. And the second thing is because we are in power struggle stage. These are the two things. So what are the thoughts that run through the man's mind when he's thinking about sex? What a man does generally is he separates his rest of his life with, let's say, 5 minutes of sex. So this is sex and this is not. But for a woman, the whole thing is intimacy. Generally, I'm saying, okay, it's not always true. Generally, okay, there are exceptions in everything. Generally, so if I'm a man who doesn't touch my wife, doesn't give her a hug, doesn't hold her hand, doesn't give her a kiss in a non-sexual manner, and at night when I come home, in order to release my stress, I jump into bed with her and I expect her to open herself to me. That's not going to happen. Because if you do that, she'll feel that you're treating her like an object. You're treating her like an object. That's the first thing you got to understand. That rest of the day, you're not there. There is no physical, there's no emotional connection. There's no emotional bond. You're not chatting. You're not talking. You're not hugging. You're not holding hands. You're not putting your hand on each other's shoulders. And when you jump into bed, you're asking for this. She'll say no. The second thing is, generally what happens with us is we do not talk about sex with each other. So all that I as a man think about is an erection, climax, ejaculation, and I'm done with. And I don't think anything about her pleasure, whether she's liking it, whether she wants me to wait for some time, whether she wants to have an orgasm, how can I help her to have an orgasm, what are the erosion, what are the zones in our body that she really likes being kissed. I don't know anything. So I appear to be a very selfish guy. And wife says that he doesn't care a damn about my needs. Why should I care a damn about his needs? Remember, I said power struggle stage. In power struggle stage, people only think about themselves. So if you want to change this, start thinking about her and her physical and emotional needs. Sex is a physical need, all right, or an emotional need as well. And you're thinking about your physical and emotional need. Start thinking about her physical and emotional need. Start, holding her hand. Start giving her a hug. Start saying thank you. Start appreciating her for doing the cooking. Start create that new culture of appreciation, care, love, understanding, and then you have a talk. You ask her, what do you like? What should we do? How should we have it? What will you enjoy? Many times men do one more thing is, and women hate it, is groping. And I've heard it from quite a number of men. Like touching my wife just because she's my wife and I have right over her body. I touch her inappropriately. Now that's not accepted. And she picks that up. And she says to herself, you don't know how to respect a woman. Go hell with you. So start respecting her first. And that's where the change happens. Receiving starts with giving. If you don't give, don't expect anything in return. So when you say my wife hates having sex, probably she hates having sex with you. At this moment, for the person you have become. So work on yourself. Great. Those of you who are on Zoom, if you have any questions, ask me. I'm going to answer it live. All right. If you're on Zoom, ask me any question. You can unmute yourself also. You can ask me any question or go to the Q&A section. If you go to more on your phone or on your laptop, you'll find a section called Q&A. Go there and ask me a question and I'll ask you directly. All right. If you're going to ask me a question on, let me see. If you have to ask me a question, just give me a moment. I'll give you control to unmute. In case if you want to ask me a question, just you got to you got to unmute yourself and you can ask me. So just give me a moment. Let me open the control to unmute. Yeah. So if there is anybody, I've given you control to unmute yourself and you can ask me a question if you want to. Otherwise, you can write it in the comment, not in the comment box, but in the Q&A section and I'll answer it. Okay. Good. So I think I'll answer the next question that has come in already. Okay, Raja is asking me, applied for divorce, but I want us to get back. Let me see. And here is a question. And Raja, since you are in our inner circle, if I think it will be helpful, I'm going to answer it. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you to put it in an envelope and keep it aside, because you are in a beautiful phase. You're learning. You're at level 1. Finish that. Get into level 2, and you'll figure out everything possible without me giving any answers. Okay. So let me look at the question you have. How will my wife know that now I am an improved person and as she expected? Okay. Whereas she has filed for divorce and we have a zero communication from 1 year. She blocked me everywhere. And for example, even if she got to know that I'm very much improved, but still she knows, but still she shows no interest in me, then what to do? Okay. I'll answer this question partly. Now, many times people think that, first of all, we think generally that I've changed. I've become a better person. I don't get angry now. Okay, generally, if I'm an person who gets angry very fast, so I've changed. I've become a better person. But if that change is not experienced by the other person, it means that I've not changed. Many times the change that people talk about is not a change at all. You know why? Because our brain hides our mistakes. So our brain will never ever let go of what we really need to change. It will show us like, this small bit that we need to change. And it's meaningless to change that bit. And that's why when people learn their personality types, suddenly they realize, wow, this is where I was going wrong. All right. Now, the second thing is the question that you have asked. Let's say I've changed. All right. Now, we are having zero communication from 1 year. She has blocked me from everywhere. Now, imagine a scenario. You cannot do this right now because you're not ready. Okay. If you are not ready, you're going to only mess it up. Imagine a scenario. You walk into a house. And you are totally a different person. You know what I mean by totally a different person? It means when there is no stress, everybody can be great. Everybody can be great. When they are feeling loved, everybody can be great. But when we are feeling stressed out and when we are feeling unloved, it is really difficult for all of us to be our best selves. All right. And that's why, we have a support system. Because I know it's not possible, even for me, for anybody, it's not possible. So imagine that you have learned everything. And now you have walked into, you have done the meditation, you're much more confident now, you have understood exactly what went wrong. And you go to our house and she says, why the hell are you here? And the way you talk, the way you interact, the way you say things, because by now you would have understood exactly what went wrong, way you say things. And at the end of it, she says, get lost. Imagine this situation. And you leave. And you leave. You come home. What you have done by doing that is you have poked a needle into her belief or into her decision that I should leave this guy. So that's the answer to the first question. Just let me drink some water. So, many times people generally ask me this question, how will she know? Forget about how will she know. First, start work on yourself. It's like, people call some people as lucky. And there's a definition I read. You know what is luck? Luck is when your hard work meets an opportunity. When your hard work meets an opportunity. So you don't think about the opportunity right now. You think about your hard work. Because if the opportunity come, what has happened is there were so many chances you had earlier to turn things around, but you didn't know what you know now and what you're going to learn. You didn't know what to do. And because of that, instead of creating a positive experience, you created a negative experience that convinced her that it's not great to be with this man. So when a woman leaves her man, all of a sudden, generally, she doesn't file for a divorce. Generally, not always the case. Sometimes there are people around her who could have had a negative experience, can instigate her, that things will not work out. But she'll take some time. And even when she has filed for a divorce, she's constantly asking in her head that, am I making the right decision? Am I making the right decision? Am I making the right decision? And constantly looking for a proof to prove herself that she's making the right decision. Are you getting me? And your goal is to be that amazing person which makes her doubt her decision. And you know how quick the human brain is to figure out the change in the other person? Research says a brain can pick up a change in the other person at 1/300th of a millisecond. It is faster than consciously what we can do. 1/300th of a millisecond. When you see somebody on the road and that person smiles at you, the brain picks up that facial expression at 1/300th of a millisecond, and we respond to that expression at 1/100th of a millisecond. That's how quick our brain is. So when you change, before she realizes, her brain will realize. And your goal is to make her doubt her decision. That's it. Every time you're going to meet her in the court. And during that time, because you have learned everything, because you are in the lavathon, because you are working on yourself, during that interaction, she's going to doubt, like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Why is he like this? Why is he so nice? And as she keeps doubting, she's going to hold on to her belief for some time. She'll say, no, it's for temporary. No, he's trying to do this because of this. No, he has not changed. But then she's trying out everything possible to pull you down, and you're not going down. You're still being that amazing person. Now, how can she go for a divorce when she's not 100% sure? It's very difficult. So every time, what has happened is, every conversation has only convinced her to go to the next step and the next step and the next step because of the experience she had with you. So work on yourself. The second thing, the second part is, and for example, even if she got to know that I'm very much improved, but still she knows no interest in me, then what to do? I'll give you a quick question, a quick answer. Think about it at that time. Right now, work on yourself. Work on yourself. You know what's going to happen is this. If you have improved a lot, okay, and you have become an amazing person. We have people in the program right now where they're saying, I'm going to the gym, I'm exercising, the way I talk to my parents has improved, the way I interact with my colleagues has improved, the way I interact my subordinates has improved. I'm feeling very happy, I'm feeling confident. I used to be depressed, and I'm feeling so energetic that I can take on the world. And you become that person, and she doesn't come back. Who's at a loss? You or her? You answer. I've heard men saying that, men saying that. And I'm not talking about, somebody who's not dedicated. Those are people who are just trying to run away from the situation by saying, oh, I have become an amazing person and she doesn't want to come back. I'm talking about people who are really committed. So don't ask this question at this moment. Ask the question, how can I become that amazing person? And if you become that amazing person, what's the reason she has? Nothing. Next question. It's from Raja itself. Let me see if I can. How will my wife know that? Okay, I've answered that question. Okay. The next question is, how will my wife know that I've answered that question. It's the same question. Yeah. Next question is, Sevang is asked, he is separated and he wants to get back, and he's saying, my wife's family and wife are unhappy in relationship. We already have a baby. My wife, family, and wife are unhappy in the relationship. So I guess what you're saying is that your wife's family and your wife is not happy in the relationship, and you have a baby, right? Work on your relationship. Rather, work on yourself. Start becoming. See, there is many times we have this belief that good people make good husbands. So that's why people look for a good person to get married to. And people think that a good person will make a good wife. So we go around, we checking, looking for a person who is if I'm a doctor, then probably I look for somebody who is a doctor. If I'm an engineer, then I look for somebody who is an engineer. And I'll get married to somebody, then I'll check the kundalis, I'll check the family background. Because the belief is, if the person is good, we'll have a great marriage. What do you think? Is that a truth or a myth? Write in the comments. Is it a truth or a myth? If we are good people, we'll have a great marriage. What's your thought on this? Let's hear it. What do you think? Is it the truth or the myth? If it is truth, write truth. If it is myth, write myth. Amarnath is saying truth. Anybody else? Truth. If the person is good, we are going to have a great marriage. Let's look at this now. This is a good one. It's like saying that good people make good doctors. Good people, the qualification to become a doctor is you got to be good. Is that the truth or a myth? Write in the comments. What do you think? The qualification to become a doctor is that he got to be a good person. If you're a good person, you can be qualified as a doctor. Tomorrow morning, you can start giving medicine. What do you think? Is that a truth or a myth? It's a myth. Correct? It's a myth. Same thing with marriage. Look at, let's say two doctors are going through a marital problem. All right. Now what you do is go to one doctor who is going through a marital problem. Like both are, let's say, I'm just taking an example of a doctor. You can take example of an engineer. You can take an example of teacher, any profession. All right. I'm just, for a convenience sake, I'm just taking an example of a doctor. Let's say what you do is You check out the background history of this doctor. You ask his patients how this doctor is. Is he a good person? And they'll say, yeah, he's an amazing person. When we come inside, he sits with us, he talks to us, he interacts with us, very caring, very understanding. Now you check out his wife, who is also a doctor. You check out her patients. And they say, amazing lady, so caring, so gentle. And now you wonder, both these people are good people. Why are they having problems in their marriage? Why are they back to each other? Now, are you getting me? Just write got it in the comments or just write GI in the comments. GI in the comments. So, good people, why good people have bad marriages? Talk to the patients. Patients say he's a good person. Talk to the patient. You talk to the colleagues of the engineer. They say he's a good person. Why good people have bad marriages? Why? Because marriage is the most unique relationship. And you cannot become doctor without learning. You cannot become an amazing husband without learning. And unfortunately or fortunately, today we are the luckiest ones. Our parents did not have the kind of knowledge that we have. Just like the way there is such an advancement in the field of medicine, such an advancement in the field, every other field, we have an advancement in the field of relationships. So if you want to become an amazing husband, you got to learn. As simple as that. Otherwise, we would have had great marriages around us. And I keep asking people, how many marriages do you know from the inside? And people say 10, 20, 30, 40. And then I ask them, how many marriages do you know which are really going great? They say 1 out of 40. And maybe some say it's 0. So if you didn't have to learn and automatically you became an amazing husband, automatically you could have an amazing marriage, then why marriages are falling apart? Why people are not happy in a marriage? So let's understand one thing. You cannot you can't become a doctor without learning. You cannot become an amazing husband without learning. That's my experience. And I'm going to share, and there are no other variables that if affect a marriage except the one thing that you know or you don't know. Because I was surprised, like Pallavi and I had been in love. I'm going to talk about it in depth when you come for the Saturday session. We knew each other for 12 years before we got married. 12 years, 1 dozen. From the time we knew to the time we got married. And it took us 6 months to get into a power struggle. Start fighting like Tom and Jerry. 6 months. 12 years of relationship. We knew everything about each other. Long distance relationship that doesn't last. And 6 months down the line in a marriage, we came to a point that we wanted to leave each other. So please, let's not get into this thought of, good people make good marriages. It's not true. Just like good people don't make good doctors, good person is a prerequisite for being a human being. And to become a doctor, you have to go through 5 years of studies. So being a good person is a prerequisite for being a good human being. And to become an awesome husband, you got to learn. Thank you, Raja. Let me see what you have written. Excellent answer. It is, dear Coach Val, priceless answer. It is for my question. Yeah, I know it is recorded. Please allow me access to the answer video later. Also for me, I'll get back to you. Yes, Raja. And I'm really glad that you're on the hub and you're learning. And I see you being really serious. So for the time being, I know there are a lot of questions which are going through your mind right now. Just every question that comes to your mind, put it in an envelope and put it aside. Okay? Because it could be any kind of problems it's like, I often talk about this, and probably with that I can end. And if there is any question that you have, if you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe, press the like button, press the bell icon. And if you have questions, just leave it in the comments and I'm going to answer it the next time. If you're on Facebook watching it, do the same, press the like button, do whatever need to be done. If you have questions, just drop in there. Oops, I forgot what I wanted to say. Let me think. The last thing I wanted to say, and probably with that we can end. No, it went out of my mind. Yeah, okay, now I got it. The there's a guy called Joseph Campbell, okay, and Joseph Campbell says this. He says that all stories are not many stories. It's only one story. He calls it as monomyth, right? He calls it as monomyth. And he says that, you might have different contexts, different heroes. So, in other words, he says that there could be thousands or 1 lakh stories in the world, but the storyline is the same. And he talks about that storyline and he calls it as hero's journey. And you can go to the net, and if you put hero's journey, you'll find the whole research done by him. And he talks about these stages of hero's journey. And if you see the story of Buddha, story of Jesus, these are the real people, story of Gandhi, real people, to the story of Harry Potter, they have the same sequence. All right. The same way with the marriage. The story of your marriage can be different from the story of my marriage, the story of somebody else's marriage, the story of somebody else's marriage. But the storyline is the same. So if you want to change the story, you work on the storyline. So when I help people, I don't need to know your story because I know the storyline. And I know how to change that storyline. And using that storyline, you can change the story of your marriage. So if you are interested in knowing more about changing the storyline of your marriage, I really invite you, if you're in the inner circle, like Raja and others, if you're in the inner circle, you don't have to, you're doing an amazing job, just focus on what you're doing. And if you're interested in knowing our inner circle, knowing Awesome Husbands Hub, what's included, I invite you to attend the masterclass on Saturday. So in order to join for the masterclass, all that you have to do is go to Coach Val. Let me write it so that you can, I'm going to leave it in the description if possible, but if not, then let me also share it here. Let me just give me a moment. All right. You can go to coachval.co. I'm just going to make a note of it here. Let me just do that. And with that, we can end. And this session, this masterclass that we are going to have on Saturday, it's exclusively for men. All right. So let me share it. It is coachval.co. Let me write it here. coachval.co. Let me just make it bigger. Coachval.co. Go there and you can sign up for this masterclass. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being part of this journey of learning. And as a motto of our organization, that's Two Drops Ocean, let's keep our love story alive. And if your love story is dead, the first love story that you got to revive is your love story with yourself. And then you will be able to revive your love story with your wife, and that will bring about all the change. Thank you very much and have a good night's sleep. Bye-bye.